Hi, and welcome to Legal Affairs. My name is Diamond Liddy, and I'm the public defender for the 19th Judicial Circuit. We are kicking off the new year right, as far as I'm concerned, and our guest is Dominic Landolina. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
And Dominic, what exactly is your title? And then we're going to talk about what your organization does and a little bit about you, et cetera.
I'm the managing attorney for Florida Rural Legal Services. My office is in Fort Pierce. We serve the Treasure Coast, all 4 counties, Indian River, Okeechobee, St. Lucie, and Martin counties.
Okay.
And
just like the 19th Circuit.
The 19th Circuit, yes.
Right. Okay. Now, first of all, before we talk a little bit about you, Dominic, because you've been around forever, and we kind of grew up together. Yeah. Although you're younger, I know. But what exactly does Florida Rural Legal Services do?
We are in 13 counties in the southern part of the state. We have offices in Lakeland, Fort Myers, West Palm Beach, and Fort Pierce. And we serve...
You don't have any north?
No further north. We represent migrant farm workers throughout the entire state, but Florida Rural Legal Services is only in 13 counties in those 5 service areas.
Yeah, I did not know that. Okay,
Yep.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yep. And we represent low-income individuals in civil matters such as housing, evictions, divorces, advance directives like living wills. We represent education cases. We represent seniors. We represent victims of domestic violence, family matters, divorce, paternity.
And things like that.
Right, all those types of matters.
I kind of liken it to the civil counterpart of our office, who represents people accused of crimes who can't afford a private attorney, so it's only criminal. Right. You do no criminal, and
Correct.
We do no civil, and you do no criminal, just civil. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Of course, now, and I get these questions all the time. I want to sue somebody because they ran over my dog or whatever. You don't do that.
No, we don't.
No. Well, let's back up a little bit. And we're going to talk about all the things you do, because the word really needs to get out of some of the help you can give people on the Treasure Coast. But let's talk about you for a moment. Okay. Did you grow up here, Dominic?
I grew up in Fort Lauderdale. Okay. I moved up to the Treasure Coast back in 1997 to take a job as an assistant state attorney, and that's what brought me to the area, and I've been here ever since.
Okay, so you worked for Bruce Colton for how long?
3 years.
Okay, and then where did you go from there?
Myself and another state attorney opened a practice in Martin County, Florida, where I practiced criminal defense, dependency defense, appeals, and some family cases down in Martin County.
Okay. And then from there, and you did that for a while.
Yeah, probably about 11 or 12 years.
Right. And then from there you worked for DCF?
Yes, I would work for Children's Legal Services, which is the legal branch of DCF. Okay. And I was a supervising attorney there for 7 years. Okay.
And now you are the head honcho, if you will, for Florida Rural Legal Services. And I guess we talked before the show, you've been there approximately a year.
Yes.
Now, tell us a little bit about your staff and the people you oversee.
Sure. We have 5 attorneys that serve, as I said, the 4 counties. 2 of our attorneys are what I call VOCA attorneys, the victims of crimes. If you're a victim of domestic violence, we do a lot of family cases, a lot of divorces, injunctions, paternity cases for victims of domestic violence. Okay. We have 2 other attorneys, one that handles Indian River, Okeechobee counties. We have another attorney position that's St. Lucie County, handles civil cases, and we have 1 attorney in Martin County that handles Martin County cases.
Okay. What is your caseload per year approximately?
It varies, so it's hard to say. I'd say Florida Rural Legal Services has helped, I think, over 30,000 people in a year, all 5 locations combined.
Wow.
So we handle a lot of cases. We don't necessarily go to court on every case, but we give advice and counsel if you're being evicted or if you're going through a foreclosure or you need just to talk to a lawyer for advice, we do that.
Okay, so that 30,000 would not be open cases. It would be the cases, some of which go to trial, things like that, but also people coming in and saying, look, they're trying to evict me.
Right.
And I've done nothing wrong. I paid, what do I do?
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I didn't realize the volume, too.
Yes. Yes.
Woo! That's a lot.
Yes.
That's a lot. Well, God bless you. Okay. Anyway, in our office, as you know, you just don't walk in and say, I got arrested, I need a lawyer, I can't afford one. You have to fill out what's known as a financial affidavit, swear to it, and list your assets, liabilities. The clerk reviews it, and you're either appointed to our office or not. What is the criteria for Florida Rural Legal Services?
In general, you call our 1-888 number, and we have an intake division that handles all people, and you tell them what your income is. We do it over the phone.
Really?
Yes, and our guidelines are 125% of poverty. For a family of 4, it's about $32,000 if you're a household of 4 people, just to give you an idea. So we represent people that are under that 125% of guidelines. There are other cases where it doesn't matter how much money you make. If you're a victim of a crime, you don't have to meet those financial criteria. We also represent seniors in a variety of cases. They don't have to meet that financial criteria. But in general, for our office, it's 125% of poverty. And we speak to them on the phone. An intake person would go through their income, their expenses, their household members, and all that kind of thing, and decide if they qualify. And if they do, then they're referred to an attorney.
Wow. So they call on the phone, do the application over the phone. If they qualify, like they make an appointment then?
Well, they speak to the attorney first on the phone.
Right.
Like I said, a lot of our cases are counsel and advice. People are concerned about a variety of things, whether it be housing or collections and garnishment, things we may be able to just talk to them and never have to meet them in person. We can answer their questions on the phone.
Right.
If it's a case that we think we need to represent somebody in a court, we have in our office a case acceptance meeting. We go over the cases that are pending that week and decide if we're going to take which cases we're going to take. Then we'll meet with clients and accept them. One thing also to know is we only represent clients that are in the United States legally. We are limited by our grants, which come from the federal government, as to who we can represent. There are very narrow exceptions, but mainly we only represent people who are in the country legally.
So if somebody's got immigration problems, you're not handling that?
We handle some immigration.
Oh, okay.
We handle what are called U visas. So if you're a victim of a crime, you can apply for a visa. We handle those applications. We do some renewals. But we don't do general immigration of all sorts, no.
Okay. I feel so ignorant, Dominic, seriously, because some of these things I did not know, like the victims of crimes or senior issues. And when you talk about issues involving seniors, what are we talking about?
Advanced directives such as wills, power of attorneys.
But, so you can do that, and you don't have to meet a financial criteria. I had no idea.
Right.
I had no idea.
Right. If they have substantial amounts of money, we don't do obviously complicated trusts and things like that. We'll refer them to a private attorney for things like that. But if you're going in for surgery, if you need to, a variety of things. Lots of times they need to get custody of a grandchild. We'll do a Chapter 751 temporary custody proceeding.
Gosh. And that would be without the financial criteria if you're a senior and you want to get custody of your...
Right, under the senior grant, right. And you say, I was the same way when I came to Florida Rural Legal Services. I had no idea the scope of cases that they handled either, because I'd obviously never been involved with them before. So it was surprising to me to find out how many areas of law we handle and how much help we can provide.
I feel so bad, and I'm so glad you're coming to talk to our office, because I had no idea the wide scope. And how are you funded, Dominic?
We're funded through a variety of grants. Our main grant is what we call LSC, the Legal Services Corporation. It's a federal grant, and it basically supplies the majority of legal aids across the country. And that's where they set the 125% poverty guidelines for. So the majority of our funding comes from them. We also have a variety of grants that are, like we have a VOCA grant, which provides attorney services to victims of crimes. That comes through the Attorney General's office in the state of Florida. We had a Drive to Work grant, which provided us getting people's driver's licenses back when they owed money. And that actually expired in December, where we were trying to renew that. But we have a variety of grants. We have a senior grant from the Area Agency on Aging that provides us money for seniors, to help seniors.
Okay. Now, what about it? I know you don't file civil suits, personal injury and stuff like that. But in some cases, and maybe I'm wrong about this because I haven't done it in so long, like in domestic violence injunctions and stuff like that, don't you need to, aren't there filing fees involved?
There are the domestic violence shelter here, Safe Space locally, as well as Martha House in Okeechobee, does the majority of the domestic violence injunctions. They'll then refer their clients to us to handle the divorce or paternity, visitation and custody issues. But filing fees can be waived if you can apply, if you're indigent for certain filing fees.
That's what I was going to ask. Of course,
Right.
if you're in that senior category or something and there's a fee.
Right.
And-
Our clients are normally responsible for filing fees.
Well, okay, that was my question. Okay. Wow, my head's spinning. Okay, let's talk in detail because I think it's so important about one of the things you do are, help with the things you're going to talk about to our office.
Right.
Let's start with that. With fines and fees and those kinds of things.
Right.
Tell me what you do in that arena.
Well, we help you basically navigate all the red tape. There are ways to get you on a payment plan with the clerk's office. There's statutory ways that they have set up by statute. We have a good relationship with the clerk's office, and we can normally just call them on the phone, figure out how many cases you have, what your outstanding fees are, combine them into a payment plan. It can be $25 a month, $30 a month, depending on how much you owe, but the point is you can get a reinstatement while you're making payments on your outstanding court fines and get your driver's license back.
And let's back up a little because, some people, have not had to deal with this, and that's a great thing, but I mean, every single day it seems, somebody's saying, Diamond, I had a fine 10 years ago. I forgot to pay it. Now with interest and penalties and everything, not only do I not have a license, I owe $22,000. And I mean, these figures that when people come to me are usually just huge, I
Right.
mean, they're overwhelming. And, what can I do? How, and, until you folks started helping, I mean, that's not what I do. I can't navigate them through the system. I don't know what to do.
Right.
And then of course, if they don't have a license, they can't get a job. If you can't get a job, how are you ever going to pay that huge amount?
Right.
It's just a spiral downward to, never get out of. And you've got to see that every day.
Yeah, I think last year alone we helped about 500 people get their
Really?
licenses back. Yes, it's very common, as you say.
And Dominic, aren't I right that sometimes these fees can be,
Yes, they're very expensive.
because of the interest and all that, it's hundred. I mean, I don't know if it. I guess it could get 100.
Well, we see it in the tens, over $10,000 quite often.
all the time.
Right.
But now, let me ask you this: isn't it true that the clerk's office has the ability or power based on after a review and stuff? Sometimes they can even, like, let's say it's up to 26,000, they can review that and lower that amount and then get you on a payment plan, or am I wrong?
I don't believe they can reduce or eliminate fees. The court fees are imposed by court order as a judgment in the criminal case or the civil case. So the clerk doesn't have necessarily authority to waive fees or fines.
Okay.
But the clerk's office does do payment plans. So if you just have one case and you need a payment plan, there's a good chance you can go to the clerk's office and set up a payment plan on your own. Where we get involved is people have outstanding
Well, they don't know
probation fees.
that.
Right. They have different cases in different counties that go years back. So we help wade through it all and combine them all and consolidate them into one payment that applies to all their cases.
Okay, so let's talk about that, like with the probation. That's different than fees and fines
Right.
because they didn't pay a traffic ticket or
Right.
whatever. And, I just have to point out, and I know people are thinking this, these are not hardened criminals
Right.
that deserve to have a life sentence.
Right. It's mainly driving on suspended licenses, the primary thing we see all the time.
Yeah, and
because of-
and it's not, and driving on a suspended license, once your license gets suspended because you didn't pay something, then it's just, again, a downward spiral of, and
Right.
then you need milk for the child and you go out and you get arrested, it's just,
Right.
oh,
Well,
my.
we're fortunate here in the Treasure Coast. Our judges are fairly reasonable, and they do give people, like I said, reasonable payment plans. Like I said, it was about $30 a month, even if they owe thousands. Which
Well,
could,
but you can combine probation fees and
well,
stuff with that, or how
no,
does that
no.
work?
If you're still on probation, you wouldn't qualify. These are fees and fines that when people were on probation, they accrued fees and fines, and then they,
Oh.
at the end, they unsuccessfully terminate their probation. They D6 their license as a result.
And D6 means,
Suspended until you
Right.
pay all the fines and do
Right.
what you're supposed to do.
okay, now, so there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm sure people are thinking, well, if I get on a $30 payment plan, I'm never going to pay this. Does the interest and everything continue to accrue or not?
The interest does continue to accrue.
Does it?
Yes. So,
But it's kind of, in other words, it's a $30 fee to have such an important
right.
privilege back. So let's say you never pay it, the whole thing, at least you
You could have your driver's license as long as you continue to make payments.
Right.
Right.
Now, do you get a second chance? What happens if you get run over by a truck and you're in the hospital and you can't make those payments?
If you default on your payment plan, then you'll need approval from a judge to get back on a payment plan.
Oh, okay. But there is a way to do that.
There is a way. We do have some people that said I was on a payment plan a few years ago and it fell through, and I've since had other trouble. So sometimes we can file a motion with the court to reinstate them to a payment plan. We've done that
Oh, great. And how often does that work?
fairly often. Like I said, if they have only defaulted one time prior, it's pretty reasonable to get you back on a payment plan. If you've defaulted a couple of times, probably not likely.
Okay. No, and that's fair too. Wow, that is just, that's great. That's great. And again, as you said, some of these people can go to the clerk's office themselves and work this out, but most people don't even know where to go.
Right.
And that's the beauty of your law office.
Right.
Obviously. Okay, what else is it? The drive.
That was Drive to Work
Okay,
program.
yeah. Let's talk about that.
That's what we were just talking about. The Drive to Work program
it's
is a
Drive to
reinstatement.
Work
Right.
program. Okay,
Right.
and there's other things that you do regarding getting their people's civil rights restored, correct?
We do not do civil rights restorations.
Okay.
We do, we do family law, housing law, garnishment, collections. If someone's trying to garnish your paycheck or collect on a judgment,
Okay.
we'll help you with that. Most of our cases, I think right now, the majority of our cases are family law cases.
Okay.
We do represent a lot of low income and victims of domestic violence and divorce cases, paternity cases. As I said, we do guardianships for relatives of children.
Right.
We do adoptions if the parents are willing to consent. We'll do an adoption by a grandparent.
Okay. Let's talk about the, victims assistance you give for a moment. What, give me an overview of that.
A lot of our cases come to us through the domestic violence shelters in the area.
Right.
They have their own attorneys, and they will file injunctions and shelter primarily women who are victims of domestic violence.
Right.
Once they get an injunction or they apply to an injunction, then they will be referred to us, because at that point they'll need to, in many cases they have children together, so they'll need to establish paternity, set up visitation schedules, get child support, that kind of thing.
And you could do the paternity?
Yes.
Okay.
Right,
'cause that's important.
Right, we file petitions for paternity, and we also do divorces. If it comes to that, they have to get a divorce.
See, I can't tell you how many times that you're gonna fuss at me that they've said, well, I just need to file for divorce and get out of this and everything. Is there any lawyer that'll do it pro bono? And of course, most private attorneys are busy and they're
Right.
trying to pay the rent themselves and they can't. And I've just said no, I don't know, and I could have referred them to, and shame on me.
And a big thing that we do is we work with private attorneys for pro bono cases, meaning we get and line up private attorneys to handle low-income families
Right.
on all types of legal cases, not just divorces, for volunteer.
Right.
So I think about 20% of our cases are done
Are
by
farmed out?
Are by yes. Done by
Well, and
private
I've got
attorneys.
to give the bar, a gold star and some kudos too, because, again, when you're in private practice, and I've been, and you've been, you've got enough going on and enough to worry about without, taking in everybody to raise and
Right.
doing their case for free for them.
Right.
But with that being said, there's a whole contingent out there in the Treasure Coast, on the Treasure Coast, that do have the heart to help
Right.
people and do give of themselves and their time.
Yes, I was pleasantly surprised to find that a lot of our local lawyers do volunteer a lot of time to handle a lot of these cases for free.
Yeah.
For needy clients. We also do courthouse clinics where we'll help people fill out pro se paperwork for divorces and things like that. If they don't have children and there's no domestic violence, it's just a simple divorce, we will meet them in these clinics and help them fill out their paperwork so they can do it
Wow.
themselves.
Oh God! You see that's great too.
Yeah.
I mean, and now do you have to meet the financial 125% of the poverty guidelines to get help?
It depends. For some of our clinics, we'll give you pro se assistance. If you're indigent or you really need the help, we will help you at the courthouse clinics, but we don't represent people unless you meet the guidelines.
Okay. So what else? Let's talk about the things that
Right.
you want to get the word out for,
Right.
Dominic.
We do a lot of housing. A lot of people don't know their rights as tenants. A lot of people's
yeah.
we get a lot of landlords that will shut off someone's water or electricity.
Do you ever represent landlords?
No. No. Landlords don't tend to meet our guidelines.
Okay,
If you
okay, I
own
just-
property, if you own property, then generally no, that's a civil
Right,
that's a
right.
civil matter. And we normally don't handle just financial disputes, for people, because if you
Right.
have that kind of money or those resources, you can hire a lawyer. So
Right.
primarily we represent tenants who are either struggling to make payments. We try and work out things with landlords to try and keep them in their houses. We also do, like I said, cases where the landlords will shut off their electricity or their water, which is illegal, make sure that gets turned back on, people being evicted. So we do a lot of housing cases. We also do foreclosure cases. If you're having a foreclosure and you have a defense or you have some kind of extreme hardship, we will try and work out things with the bank. And
Oh, wow,
and try and help you as much as we can with foreclosure. Obviously, if you haven't paid, we get people call, they haven't paid in a year or two, there's not a lot of defense. We have to explain to them, what your options are, as far as a short sale or, trying to work things out, trying to defer payments for a hardship with the bank and those kind of things.
Well, now, I know some of these. Now, what about small claims? No.
Well, evictions are in small claims court,
Yeah,
so
right,
it
but
depends
I mean,
on.
So primarily in small claims, it's
Right. We also do collections and garnishment. So we get a lot of seniors that end up getting sued for credit card debt, or not even seniors. Just a lot of people
Yeah.
get sued for debt that they have, and we'll give them advice. And sometimes we'll represent them if we believe it's not a valid claim. And then they'll try and garnish their wages, which is a big thing.
means-
And
explain. Yeah,
they-
what is that mean?
once you get a judgment against you, they can the creditor or whoever the bank is or whoever you owe the money to will try and take money out of your paycheck. And that's usually when we get the call. They're trying
Right.
to take money. But there are exemptions. If you have a child that's living in your home with you, you cannot be garnished. And there's certain financial amounts they can only garnish up to. So we explain people their rights and we can try and help settle them. Oftentimes we send in the tax returns to the bank and say our client is responsible for a child, therefore is exempt, and they'll end up dismissing the garnishment cases. So
Wow. Okay. Yeah, which the normal,
normal people don't know.
No,
Right?
no.
All they know is money's now getting taken out of their
Yeah, what do
paycheck,
I-
and they're
yeah.
like, how do I stop this? So you can
Yeah.
call us and we can walk you through it. And help.
Okay. Now, what about some of these cases, and you're not going to believe this, but we're almost out of time. I mean, it goes so fast.
Yeah.
What about if the judge orders the case to mediation? What do you get involved in that? Do you stand by? I know in mediation, normal mediations are the mediator and the two parties in the room, and you don't
Right.
have to. But I mean, You don't abandon the person if it gets sent to mediation. You
No, no.
Okay.
Like I said, if we have our case acceptance meeting and say this is a person that really needs an attorney to help them, they have a valid defense, they have, we will file a notice of appearance and represent them through the whole case.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, so what else? We got just a few minutes. What other things do you want to mention?
We do benefits cases. So if you're denied Social Security and you want to appeal the denial, Medicaid benefits denial, veterans benefits,
What about disability?
disability benefits, right. So if you were getting
Oh,
disability
come on.
benefits
See, I didn't know any of this.
Right.
This is terrible.
Right. We don't obviously, help people do the initial application to apply for benefits. Go
Right.
apply for benefits. If you're denied and you believe that you should be getting them, or if you got them and now they're stopping them, we can appeal that. We will represent you at the hearing in front of the hearing officers and so forth.
Well, now, out of the 5 lawyers, Dominic, what is that's a lot of law to
Right,
know.
right.
Do you have
Yeah, they're compartmentalized. We have an advocate. There are paralegals basically that are trained. We have one advocate, a paralegal who's trained to handle the benefits and advance directives.
Okay.
We have one paralegal that handles a lot of our immigration cases. And our attorneys, like I said, we have 2 attorneys that handle primarily family cases. And when we have two other attorneys that handle the civil matters, the housing and those kind of things.
Right. Now, do you ever just get so overwhelmed? I mean, our office, we've never done it, but the 11th Circuit in Dade County filed, a
Yes.
excessive
Because of-
caseload,
right.
And had to turn people away. Have you ever had to do that?
Well,
or-
we don't. We try not to turn people away, but we give them a range of representation depending on what their needs are. So we prioritize cases
It's
of people
kind
that
of
are
triage sometimes.
Yes, yeah. The greater the need, the more likely we are to take full representation. If you don't have as great a need, like I said, if it's a case that doesn't involve violence, doesn't involve children, we may just talk to you on the phone, or we may help you fill you out pro se forms so that you can represent yourself, and we'll
Right.
help you walk you through that. So
Right.
our level of representation varies depending on how many cases we have.
So that's kind of the way you handle your excessive caseload,
Right.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, again, let's recap because we've got about a minute left. If someone has been listening today and thinks you can help them,
Right.
What number do they call?
The 188 number, I don't have it memorized. I'll have to grab it out of my card. But they can go to the website, also FloridaRuralLegalServices.org,
Right.
or they can call toll-free 888-582-3410.
Okay. And then what is your local number, just so we know?
That's the number for us. Right. It's statewide. That number goes to all 5 locations. And like I said, there's intake on that number. And if you know who you want, tell them, and they'll transfer you directly to us.
Okay.
If not, they'll direct you to the right place.
So they can ask for Dominic Landolina. They've seen you on the show. They want
Right.
you to represent.
Right.
Now, do you go to court yourself?
Yes, I handle.
okay.
I also handle some cases as well.
Okay, so you're in the trenches as well. Well,
Right.
that's wonderful.
Yes.
Well, thank you for all you do for all of us. I've learned. I'm sure the audience has, and great luck.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.